How hot is it outside? Hot enough that I cleared all the crap out of one side of the shop and put the truck in. Part 2, installing a backup camera and a new radio unit in the truck. Stand by. Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. I am James and we are doing part 2 of improving the lifestyle of the truck, and that is going to include putting in a new radio, as we would call it in the olden days, a head unit, because what they'll call it today, and as well as a rear view camera that mounts back in the license plate area. And it is balls hot today. Heat advisories across the board. It's just stupid. So we cleaned out the shop, or actually we just smooshed everything over to one side and then got the truck in. So we're gonna get going here. A couple of different parts to this. We're gonna tackle kind of what I think is the harder bit of it right now, which is going to be getting underneath the truck, running this cable from the rear license plate area back to the underside of the cab, and then up through a grommet and into the area where the new radio is going to go. So what we've got is this is a Boss, a BE7 ACP-C. Don't say that really fast. And what it is it's a 2-DIN system, which means it's a double height receiver. It's the same size as the unit that is currently quasi-functional in our truck at the moment. We'll open up the box and see what we have. Looks like we got some brackets and a microphone, because this has got all that fancy voice assist stuff to it. This is the backup camera that comes in it. And this, believe it or not, is our unit. There's not a lot to it. It's not like super huge. It's not super deep. Back has got a number of RCA connections. Here's our radio antenna. This is the microphone input. Everything's labeled quite nicely. This is the rear camera input. It also has a front camera input. And then we also have got 2 USB connections. One of them is just for power. And now you got voiceover James to do the rest of this. That other USB connection is I don't know what you want to call it, a smart USB connection. That is the one that you will hook up your smartphone into, either an Android or an iPhone. And that will allow connectivity between your smartphone and the head unit, enabling to use either, I don't know, the Android Auto or Apple Play. Either one. And then there's an interface that's going to go in between the head unit as well as the truck's wiring harness. Now, I paid Crutchfield to do this for me, and what they did was they went in and they pulled all of those wires that I normally would have to cut myself and join up and solder myself, because as you may have heard me mention, it's like stupid hot right now, and sometimes it's just easier to pay somebody to do something for you. And this is one of those cases. I want to say I paid them, I don't know, $25, and they took, they made me a harness that is going to plug into the back of the head unit. And when I unplug the stock radio, all those connections are going to connect into those gray fittings that you see there. So it's literally it's a plug and play type of unit. And then we're going to have to put this back up here. This is a bonus. I did not pick this radio out because it had a backup camera. I'm not really a big fan of the backup cameras, just because, you know, it's me. I'm not fancy. So what we are going to have to do is we're going to have to run a line from the camera on the back bumper. We're going to have to run that video line up to the unit, and then we have to power the unit, and then we have to have something which is called like a trigger wire. So that way when we put it into reverse, the camera knows that that's when it's supposed to turn on. I also ordered a bezel kit. I also ordered one of these funky multi plug USB cables. Again, at the time that I did this, I was still using an Android phone, so I needed that that USB-C. But then I also had Apple friends, and so this has a Lightning connection as well as a micro USB connection. And so whoever's sitting in the drinker side, can get their phone powered up so that they can record the stupid things that we're going to do. And then wire loom, because we got to make everything look pretty. So this backup camera has a bracket that mounts to the top mounting location of your license plate. And if I am smart enough to figure out how to work this ratchet, then I might actually be able to get these off of here. We can start getting this thing installed. This is actually a fairly decent placement because it makes it easier to see if you're trying to back up and hit a trailer. It's easier to line the two up. I've seen some cameras that are looking, from like the high brake light position on the camper top, and I'm just not a fan of that. So here we're going to snake these cables down behind there. We're just going to do a loose fit. The camera is really pretty small. I mean, it's, if you're of the age that knows what these little fidget spinner keychains are, it's about the size of the little cube fidget spinner. And so now that we've got this kind of just, soft positioned in there, we can start figuring out how we're going to have to make this connection. And we're gonna have to make a wiring harness, and that's always about as much fun as it sounds. So we are going to get our trigger signal from our left rear backup light, and that means that we've got to remove this lens assembly. It's just a couple of bolts that you're going to pull out of there. And then, hey, look at that. I still have hair on the top of my head. You young kids don't understand that. You old guys are like, yeah, I remember when I had hair. So what we're going to do is there is when you put it in reverse, your reverse light bulb gets power. One of those wires is a ground, the other one's a hot. And so what we're going to do is we're going to tap into that hot. So when you put it in reverse, it is going to trigger your backup camera to turn on, which will then display on the fancy schmancy head unit that we are going to install in the truck. All right, this is kind of a fun angle here, but we'll work with it. This is our power line. Finger power line coming down from the backup light. And there it is connected up to our power connector for the camera. So now that we've got it run, we're gonna uncontrollably zoom in, and then we're gonna lose focus because there's no light over there. And focus. So we're gonna put that in a split wire loom, and then we're going to continue that over to where it connects up with the camera. And then we're going to start running our RCA cable, our video cable, along the frame rail and up to the cab, where we're going to go through a grommet into the cab. But yeah, split wire loom all the way, just to protect it. All right, long story short, we're over here at the bench in the RATTLECAN Guitar Restorations area, just so that I could use the Uppy Cam and show you what I have done. This is my license plate backup camera mount, and so I have a wire that is going through this split loom that then goes to here. This is the power wire for the backup camera. I have also run another wire because I need a trigger wire that will tell the radio I'm in reverse, put the reverse camera up on the screen, and that's what this is. Then there is a connection in here. This is my RCA connection. They've been taped, and then I've also taped them over on the wire loom because it's going to be under the truck. I don't know about your truck. My truck gets wet underneath. And then this is the other end. This is the end that's going to go up into the cab. And this is the video feed that will go to the head unit. This is the other end of that switch, that trigger wire that we will hook up, and then when we put it in reverse, the light comes on, power goes to the video camera. That same voltage goes from here to here and tells the radio, switch over to the rear view video feed. This is just in regular split wire loom. I just have this piece of copper. This is just grounding wire copper, and I will put it in the crack like this, and then we can just pull that wire along like that. That's the way I do it. So now let's crawl back under the truck and get it done. Okay, here we are coming down from the tail light. That goes across to that T-junction there, and the far end of it, back down yonder, goes over the top of the license plate. And now we just have to snake this mess up along the top of the frame rail like that direction. So yeah, that'll be fun. All right, that was fun. So my video signal line goes there. We're up inside the frame rail, past the shock, and then we let's see, then we hop up on top, kind of on top of the gas tank, and then we jump over to the outside of the frame, over the top of the filler for the fuel tank. Then we jump down kind of in between. There is a body mount and the frame. We go in between there, and then we come out and we snake along the top of the frame rail until we get to that heat blanket, and then we jump over. There's a little like a piece of angle right there, and then that's where our grommet is. So now we get into the floor of the cab. All right, now we got to get access to that grommet. So first thing, we got to pull this up. We might get the vacuum. That's good. Yum. Maples. Man, no money. It's fun when you find money. So now, hold on, we're gonna go mobile cam. So now, this is the grommet that we're going to come up through the floor in. There we go. You know, I don't know. Do we want to go through that one? It wouldn't be underfoot. It might be the better way. And then we'll just have to seal the living snottage out of it. We can do that. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to come up, we're going to cut a slit in this grommet, run our loom right up through here, and then the loom will stop right there. And then, what's that one up there? Is that a gum wrapper? Way up in there? What's going on there? Oh, you know what? Oh, my light fell over. Boy, that scared the poop out of me. There is. We'll have to see what that's like underneath, because that would be totally off the floor. And I'm just not real excited. Oh my gosh, what else is this? More crap? Good grief. I'm not real excited about having wires underneath my feet, just because I know that over time, that's how you break a wire. So we may go in beneath whatever that is. It looks like it might be transmission something. All right, let's go see what's under there. All right, this seems like it has taken forever, and that's because it has. So anyways, we have to take this panel off, and the first thing that I have to do is I have to remove my phone holder. We're supposed to pry my cigarette lighter off and disconnect the wiring harness, and that's just going to be, is that just a straight, oh, there it is. One pull. I apologize for the poor light inside my truck, inside a building, but we're just not doing this outside. Go. And now, in theory, we should have, there's one, there's two, 7mm bolts. Pry out receiver trim plate to release 8 clips. Okay, and we have 96 wires back here and a steering wheel in the way. There we go. Phew. And I was reading in my instructions, and it said, these instructions do not apply to the 2013 vehicles with navigation. Factory radio replacement is not possible for these vehicles. Good grief. Am I glad I didn't buy a 2013 with navigation? That would make me the unhappy guy. All right, so I just pulled this thing off, and this, not sure if this black connector is supposed to come off with it or not. I guess we'll have to see. All right, let's quickly go over what occurred while the camera was not recording. These side pieces, they slide over like this, and then you bend them back 90 degrees and they snap into place. And then you have to cut them off. Now, obviously, I didn't do it with these things connected up here, but these ears kind of go back here like this. There's a second set, and you got to cut them off. So I just took this piece and just used the bandsaw and just slid them off. You could use a hacksaw. You could use a lightsaber. I mean, you could do, you use whatever you need to do. So anyways, that gets the bezel on here, and there was a bit of slop in the system, but once I was able to tighten the sides of this up, then the slop kind of disappeared. so now we will slide in here. Stand by. So now that will sit in there like that. It actually fits in there better there when I get the little locating pegs in there. So, all right, so we got our bezel on. Now we need to get all of the wiring connected up. And there are two things that are going to slow us down. And one of those is going to be the placement of the microphone. This car is equipped so that it will talk to Siri or Cortana. If you do that kind of thing, I don't. But in the event that someone after me wants to do that kind of thing, I don't want them to have to go through all of this and go in just to plug in a silly microphone. So we're going to do that. And then the other thing is I'm going to try to find a somewhat elegant solution to our USB cable that's going to come out of here somewhere, because if you remember, my phone sits right here and I want to be able to plug my USB-C cord into the bottom of that so I can get charging as well as get connected up to the Android Auto features. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, snake bit twice by the not lots of tactile feel record button on the camcorder. Okay, what I've done is I have connected up. This is the harness that we get from Crutchfield. So there are these are two of the factory wiring harness connections that we have. There's a third one on here, but that's not used for this vehicle with these options. I've got my video input for my rear camera. This says rear camera power 12 volts, half an amp. So we're going to twist these together because we're going to do a test outside. We're not going to button everything up until we get it taken care of. This is my radio connection. And then we have plugged the whole wiring harness into the back of our new head unit. The microphone, I've cut a little notch out of this panel way up in the corner, so our wire should be able to go in there with little to no effort, and then we'll be able to fix that microphone there. I'm not going to use it, but if somebody after me wants to do that, we're going to do that. The other thing that I discovered, and you can't see this down here, I have got a wired plug down here, because I think at one time there was a CB radio in this truck, and I think that is what that connector is. Strange things you find when you tear apart your vehicle. These are two of these inputs are for the rear seat entertainment system, which we don't have, and two of these are for the subwoofer, which at the moment we don't have. So we've got it all. Oh, this is an aux input, so that if you want to, you can use the regular 3.5 millimeter jack to plug into there, and it will play through the sound system in theory. So I'm going to find a box to put this on so we can see it, and then we're gonna see if the silly thing works. Check. Okay, I checked that about 6 times. Getting kind of tired of missing stuff. Okay, trailer brake module fault. That's okay because we don't have the trailer brake currently set up.
war. And when Richard came along...
Well, okie dokie. Okay, that tells us what all of our versions and stuff like that is. Let us see if, well, that's a USB to a USB, so I need a USB-A to USB-C, so let's fart around and see if we can't find the correct cable. Okay, we have sufficiently christened the unit with the appropriate application of Foo Fighters. And yeah, that's the good stuff. So what I have found out, one of the things that is somewhat irritating is that this wants to automatically bring up maps, and you can't get rid of it. It's one of those, integration deals that the manufacturer has made, would be my assumption. So we're going to go through and we're going to clean a whole bunch of this stuff off. And we're just going to start to customize it. We're now going to start putting this stuff back in. And so the only thing, we have two things to do. We have to reassemble the car. That's number one. The other thing that we have to do is when the connectors come in tomorrow, we are going to have to get that power to the camera hooked up. Should have had a nap today. We're going to get that hooked up. All right, so one of the things that I forgot to mention is that there are supposed to be spacers, little plastic spacers on the back of these mounting tabs, and they are of extremely loose fit. So if you just try to hold one of them there, it just doesn't work very well, because you give them a good hard stare and they fall off. So what I ended up doing was I just took some tape and taped them on there. And so now when I go to push it in, I'll get the proper attitude, but then my spacers don't fall out, so that then I can put my nuts in there, or my screws in there. You also have to use the supplied screws, because the old ones aren't long enough. So they give you four of these self-tappers. So I don't know if they're just a little bit bigger diameter or what. I don't know what's wrong with using a thread pitch of the old ones, but there we go. Everything seems to fire up okay. The dash is put back together. Probably got all kinds of more patterns on there, but most excellent. I could play my tunes if I wasn't worried about getting a copyright strike. All right, well, that's how we did it. Last thing tomorrow, backup camera. All right, here we are the next day. The delivery truck has been kind enough to bring us some parts. Now, if I can figure out where I laid my crimping tool. There it is. First thing I'm doing is putting these spade connectors on. I tinned my leads, because that's the way I was trained. So what's nifty cool about these is we close this around our wire, and when we do so, that will give us a pathway with which we can then connect into this. We give it a squeeze better than that. Okay. All right, now, in theory, let's see if it works. Hey, look at that. Got a backup camera now. Now let's just go adjust it a little bit. Oh my gosh, be quiet. There we go. That's what I wanted. So I can see, oh my gosh, I can see the very bottom of my bumper. That just kind of gives me a frame of reference. So all right, it's been an eventful couple of days. And so we put the new deck in. We also put a rear view camera in, ran the wiring loom to the tail light for trigger power, because this harness has a smart, I don't know, it's a smart, something smart, not me, for the, it knows that it's in reverse, but then we supplied power from when the rear light comes on, and so there we are. Great, our messages are working, and our Amazon Music is working. I wish I could crank this stuff for you, but you know how the copyright police are. Anyways, that's what we did, and you know, I'm sure there's different ways to do this. You know, if you've had experiences doing something like that and there's a better way we could have done this, I'm all for it. You know, let us know down in the comments beneath the sermon notes. So anyways, there it is. New double din smart radio thingy and backup camera and a 2011 F-250 Super Duty. I'm James. This is RATTLECAN Fab Shop. You guys have a good day. Cheers.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to spend it here with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Here's one that you might enjoy as well. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit that button, hit the bell next to it so that you get a notification when we drop a new video. If you've got comments, put them down beneath the sermon notes. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it. You guys have a great weekend. Cheers.